Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Looking at the nature of the enquiry. Ataha vicharaha kartavyah. The vichara has to be done how? Not on by oneself. By oneself, if the vichara is done, what will happen? Nothing will happen. That is the idea. So vichara has to be done properly, and that's going to be talked about much more later on. But we already know Upasidet Gurum. So Guru Upasadanam has to be done. All this was talked about. And the vichara has to follow the lines of the inquiry of the Upanishad. And so in this way, the vichara, the self-inquiry is done. And so, ato vichara kartavyah jignasoho atmanavastunah. So what is the subject matter of vichara? What is the topic of vichara? Atma vastu. The only thing worth being called a thing. That is what has to, that is the vichara, that is the subject matter of the vichara, that is what needs to be done. So, and then what else? So then it says, adhikarinam ashaste फलसिद्धिर्विशेषतः उपायादेशकालाद्याः सन्त्यस्मिन् सहकारिणः. So then, Vedanta has an annoying habit of putting it all on you. Adhikarinam ashaste. So the vichara is done, guru is there, still the knowledge did not take place means what? It's your problem. Adhikarinam ashaste. Ashaste here means there is an expectancy. There is an expectation of what? Adhikari. Who is adhikari? The one who is wanting to study this is adhikari. Adhikarinam ashaste. Well, you know, everything is there. Like all the cooking utensil is there, spoon is there, rice is there, water is there. Only one thing is missing. What is missing? Fire. So like that, we, you know, if we say this, then here there in the other time I used this example. What was that? That was the fire of knowledge. But here, when I am using this example, what is it? It is basically the self-preparedness over which we are keeping on talking about endlessly. So the adhikarinam ashaste. So there is the teacher, there is the shastra, there is a classroom, there is a beautiful ashram. Only one thing is missing. What? The prepared student. So adhikarinam ashaste phalasiddhi visheshatah. Phalasiddhi means for this knowledge to fruition, to blossom in the heart. That is what is needed. The heart has to blossom in the knowledge, and so therefore it needs an adhikari. Adhikari means the proper recipient of this knowledge is what is talked about. And so it's very interesting here. In another, there is one very nice Prakarana Grantha, again very big, about 2000 verses or something, called Bodhasara. So in this Bodhasara, there is one section, early section called Shishya Viveka. And there the author uses a beautiful imagery of 4 kinds of lotuses. So in the water. So one is the real lotus. So it just, what does it do? The sun shines and the lotus naturally blooms, blossoms. And the other one is a stone lotus. A lotus sculpted from stone. You can do that. You can make a lotus out of anything. The other one is a lotus sculpted from wood. And the last one is a lotus sculpted from mud. Mud, wood, and stone. So then, all these things, somebody says, let us beautify this lake. One lotus is only there, let us add a few others. So they bring some wooden lotuses, they bring some stone lotuses. What happened to the stone lotus? Immediately it sinks. And what happens to the mud lotus, the clay lotus? Yeah, it becomes waterlogged, dissolves, and also dirties the water around it, makes it all muddy. The clear lake now becomes muddy. And then what does the wooden lotus do? It stays bobbing up and down, but a little breeze, it takes it away. So these are the various kinds of students. The author describes the various kinds of students as various kinds of lotuses with very little or zero preparation. So the tamasic student will immediately sink to the bottom and stay there, because unable to bloom, unable to catch this knowledge, too heavy. Heavy means just a lot of weight of the unconscious mind. Too much subjectivity, too heavy. So the stone lotus, glub, 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 it sinks to the bottom. And then the other student is also not prepared, not, too waterlogged, and then dissolves in the water and creates a mess as well. And then the wooden lotus represents a student with a distracted mind, keeps on bobbing here and there over wherever, however the wind blows, the lotus bud here also blows. And then the real lotus, real means in the scheme of things, and not the artificial lotus, the real lotus blooms in the presence of the sun. And so the sun is like the knowledge handled by the guru, and the lotuses here are various stages of adhikaritvam. So who said Vedanta is fair? Vedanta very, very unfair. If you get the knowledge, and when you get the knowledge, what do we say? What do we say? It is because of Guru's grace. Exactly. It's not because of me, it's all because of Guru's grace. It's because of Guru's grace operating in my life, I got this knowledge. We celebrate that. If I don't get this knowledge, then whose problem it is? Guru's problem. No, my own problem. My own problem it is. Why? Adhikarinam ashaste. Phala siddhir visheshatah. For this knowledge to be phalita, for this knowledge to fructify, to fruition in the mind, to ripen in the mind, in the heart. Mind, heart is used synonymously here, metaphoric mind, heart. For it to fructify, there has to be a certain preparedness. It demands a certain preparedness. And then other things, upaya means that certain other things, factors also help. Like what? Upaya, desha, kala, adi. Desha, kala, all these things also help. Because no matter how much one studies, at a young age, sometimes people say, I tried to study the Bhagavad Gita when I was 19. I was very interested, but nothing went in. Even though I went to a teacher and sat and studied, nothing went in. Now I'm understanding everything. That is Kala. Desha also helps. Certain places it's very difficult to study. Like if you are in Saudi Arabia, it's very difficult to study. What are you going to study? There is no community. In fact, you cannot open your mouth. Pujya Swamiji used to say, if you have a dental problem, you have to come back to India. You have to come back to India. So all these places, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, all these things. There's one person here from Kuwait. So like this. So he will be able to tell you. He had hosted Puja Swamiji in his place. He'll be able to tell you. You can talk to him. So Mahadevanji. So then, so we have this is in those countries you can only have satsang well in people's homes or maybe in the Indian consulate, nowhere else. Ah, yeah, in the homes or the consulate, embassy, somewhere you can have, not anywhere else. You can't even open the mouth and say Vedanta. So then, when there is very little exposure, very little people, very few amounts of people practicing, then also it becomes a problem. So desha is important. And then, because one's karma is conducive to being born in a culture where everywhere this is there, even in our folk songs are Vedantic. This woman, there is one folk song where the woman is gone to gather firewood and she's talking to one parrot. And so she tells the parrot, "You are so pretty. Come home with me, and I'll put you in a nice golden cage." And the parrot sings back and says, "Golden cage is still what? Cage. I don't want that. Keep the golden cage with you. I will any day take the fresh air and the sun and the sky and the trees." So, like that, even our folk songs are Vedantic, that the women sing while, what is that called? The churning, the butter, pounding, the masala, everything. It is all there in our pores. Vedanta is there in the pores. Even though one may not have studied the Upanishad, one somehow knows. So this is, so desha, kala, the time, etc., all becomes sahakarinaha. Sahakarinaha means the mediatory factors. They are all there, they are all important, they are all there, they all become intermediary factors, but the main factor is what? Adhikaritvam ashaste, adhikarinam ashaste. And then, so the adhikari means who now? The one who is got certain qualifications. What those qualifications are, first is going to be listed and then is going to be discussed. Sadhanani tu chatvari kathitani manishibihi येषु सत्स्वेव सन्निष्ठा यदभावेन तिष्ठति. So don't be afraid, the author says. Only 4 things you have to know to become an adhikari. And the dejected, jaded, faded jiva thinks, okay, only 4 things. I think I can manage 4 things. Hopeless fellow thinks, all right, 4 things I can manage. So the sadhanani, chatvari. Only 4 sadhanas are there. Sadhana means the means. People were asking today about what are the practices. In Vedanta, the practices are all before, not after. Every sadhana is before the knowledge takes place. Afterwards, there is nothing to practice. So, sadhanani asya chatvari. So who is saying, just because you are saying I have to listen to you? You can just make up. You can, today you say chatvari, tomorrow you say pancha, tomorrow, then later on you say shat. And then what will I feel like saying? Shut up. That's all. So what are you? You are just bringing things out of your head. No, I am not saying it. Kathithani manishibhihi. Manisha means self-knowledge. Manishin is the one who has self-knowledge. Manishibhihi, not by one, plural. Many manishis. Many people who have attained the self-knowledge, who have gained this self-knowledge, what do they say? They say that there are 4 sadhanas that you have to cultivate. And how did these manishis get this? Because they studied the Upanishads. They studied the Upanishads where all the sadhanas are written down properly. I think in the 4th chapter. And 4th chapter, you will find this. So, Shanto, Danto, Uparatah, Titikshuhu, Samahito Bhutva, Pravrajanti, Brahmanaha. There is a Upanishad Bhakya that says that after gaining all the qualifications, the people who are interested in Brahman, that is the meaning of Brahmana. Brahmani charitum sheelam asya asti iti Brahmanaha. So the ones who have the ability, the capacity to move around in the subject matter called Brahman. So that is Brahmachari as well as what? Brahmana. Everything is that alone. So this Upanishad, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, describes the person of qualification as the one who is endowed with all the qualifications, and then Prabrajanti means goes off to the forest in search of a teacher for this knowledge, repairs to the forest, because the teachers were not sitting in the cities and towns. Why not? What's wrong with cities and towns? Huh? Too much noise, too many people. That's why. So if one is interested in this kind of a lifestyle, naturally one will be drawn to quiet places. That is how it is. And so 4 sadhanas are there. This has been talked about by the Manishins, by the people of knowledge. And then it's very bluntly said, Yeshu Satsu means when these are present in full measure, Sat Nishtha means the abidance in Sat takes place. The ignorance of the self is gone. Abidance in Sat takes place. Self-ignorance is gone when these sadhanas are there. Yadabhave, supposing they are not there, natishtati. Very simple. If these sadhanas are there, then knowledge is guaranteed. If these sadhanas are not there, no knowledge. That is very, very simply and succinctly put. There is nothing more to talk about here. So, Yeshu satsveva sannishta yadabhave natishtati. Abhave means in the absence of this preparation, naturally the knowledge will not stick. The knowledge demands a lot. The knowledge demands complete ownership of it, and it will not brook any other competing, pastime, occupation, etc. I'm not saying this to scare you. This is how it is. If one is serious about this knowledge, it requires a length of exposure where one is only looking at this after suspending other things. May not be able to completely give it up, but at least you suspend those things, put those things aside, put the other problems and issues and pursuits aside, and focus on this, and focus on gaining the sadhanas. And when the sadhanas are there, the knowledge is a cakewalk. If the sadhanas are not there, then what happens to the knowledge? It is comes and goes. In the class, everything is clear. Aha! Brahmakara vritti. I see. I am Brahman. I see that very, very clearly. Then, class over, one goes out, and then as one is putting on the chappals, one thinks, what was that? What that was said? What was that? Where did it go? It didn't really go. just is there somewhere, but it's not able to express itself. It lacks expression because there is too many other things clamoring for attention, and there is not enough preparation. So then what are these sadhanas? So he lists them in the next mantra. Adau nitya nitya vastu viveka samudakritah. That's not what it was? परिगण्यते आदौ नित्या नित्यवस्तु विवेकः परिगण्यते आदौ नित्या नित्यवस्तु विवेकः परिगण्यते इहामुत्र फलभोग विरागस्तदनन्तरम् शमादिषट्कसम्पत्तिः मुमुक्षुत्वमिति स्फुटम् ब्रह्म सत्यं जगन्मिथ्येति एवं रूपो विनिश्चयः सोऽयं नित्या नित्यवस्तु विवेकः समुदाहृतः. First, he lists all of them. Adau means right in the beginning. Beginning of what? One's quest, one's study. Or you can even say beginning of the list. That also you can take it like that. So, nitya nitya vastu vivekah pariganyate. Pariganyate means it is listed, counted, ganana to count. So, pariganyate. So, in the beginning, viveka is counted. And what is this viveka? Between what is nitya and what is anitya. What is anitya? The answer is everything. Everything except the one who says everything is anitya is anitya. Is the one who says everything is anitya alone is nitya. So the answer, what is anitya, what is non-eternal means what? Everything. Drishta nashta svabhavah. As you see, it disintegrates. As you see, it is already broken. The future of everything is what? Broken. Anything that you see, anything that you're able to objectify is finite. So this is the except who? I, the one that is saying everything is finite, happens to be infinite. This I have to understand. This is, and he's going to explain each one in detail. So we'll just go through the list quickly. So Adau Nitya Nitya Vastu Vivekah Pariganyate. Then Viraga. Viraga is another word for Vairagya. Vairagya, abstract noun, Viragaha. Viragasya bhava, Vairagya. So what is this Viraga? Iha amutra phalabhoga Viragaha. Iha, here. Here means on this plane that we all occupy. On this plane means what? On this planet. Amutra means elsewhere, in other lokas. Phalabhoga, the desire to keep wanting to enjoy fruits of action. Some people are punyaholics. They keep doing seva, they keep doing charity, they keep doing what is that called? Pujas, rituals, homas, etc. Why? Because they are punyaholics. They want lot of punya. They want to secure a reserved bungalow. Where? In heaven. So this is the thing. And then for such people, there are unscrupulous people here. Such terrible things I have heard. One person said Do you want mango tree in heaven? Yeah, that sounds wonderful. You mean right in my next to my house? Yes. In your front yard, you want a nice, big, leafy, shady, fruit, heavy with fruits hanging. Mango tree, low hanging fruit, mango tree. Yes, yes, I think that will be very nice. Okay, 50 lakhs, give here. Here you have to pay for mango tree over there. Daylight robbery, this is. People give also, unfortunately, because one doesn't know. One has not studied Vedanta, one has not studied Vivekachudamani, one has not come to an ashram, to a guru, etc. One doesn't know. One believes and says, "Oh, this is some holy person saying," and then this will be wonderful. Then closer home, more recently, I heard another very, very strange thing. So these two people, one self-styled Swami and one academic, are talking. And they're talking, and then they are saying that we have come up with a wonderful scheme so that you can be wealthy in this life and the next life and the next life and the next life. How? Well, you don't know how your children will turn out to be. They could be rascals. You don't know. They could just, what is that called? Squander away your wealth. Or they could, horror of horrors, give it off to somebody else. No, no, no. Your wealth should be with you. You have educated and raised your children. Let them earn. Let them be. Or you give them a little bit of amount, settle them, and then the rest of it keep it for yourself. Why? I'm already 85. Why should I keep it for myself? Aha! Here is where we come into the picture. We can see what you are going to be in your next life. And we can also see where you are going to be. Give us your savings, we will put it in an interest bearing account, and in your next life, we will come and give it to you. And they were talking so seriously, my God, this is just so unscrupulous. But then one falls prey to these kinds of things. Why? Because amutra phalabhoga viraga is not there. Amutra means elsewhere. So, right, we have this habit of reserving things. Yeah. And see, tomorrow we are moving to the yoga hall classroom. There, everybody will make a dash and reserve their seats. It looks very beautiful. I went today to see it and put a few final touches. I didn't do any work. I just put some final touches and came. It looks wonderful. The floor is shining, everything is shining, very nice classroom. And everybody gets a table like this, nice asan to sit on, very nice. And then, so as soon as we go there, there'll be dash for the favorite place. For some people, the favorite place is right in front, so that one can gain the knowledge. For some people, the favorite place is where? Yeah. Right in the back. For what reason, we don't know. But no comment on that. But some people like to be backbenchers, some people like to be front benchers, whatever it is, then everybody chooses their own seats, right? And then suddenly some visitor comes to the ashram. They don't know what all you have going on. They don't know that if you come near your seat, you will growl. They have no clue. you know, they have no idea. And they don't even know this is your seat. So they come and sit down. But you don't growl. Why? Because Shamadama, all this. Some of the teaching has gone in. You just growl inside. You don't growl outside. Growl means like a dog, territorial. So this is the this kind of a reservation mentality is there all over the globe, but more so in countries which have a lot of people. So if you want to catch a bus, I gave up one time. I was trying to go by bus to Manjakudi, Puja Swamiji's birthplace. I had to give up because it's just the bus stop is very difficult for sadhus to manage, because you don't even though you are in line. I thought I was in line, but then as soon as the bus came, the line became some kind of a vyuha, like chakra vyuha, okay, where poor Abhimanyu perished, and so and and then people were climbing the bus. And I said, why are they climbing the bus? I really couldn't understand. Then I saw that they were climbing the bus to reach through the window and put an object in, a hat, handkerchief, water bottle, pillow, something. And then, so by the time you get into the bus, there is not even standing room. It's all already gone. Yes, just like that. So we have this reservation mentality because, when we take a look at the people around us, we can't any longer trust Bhagavan. We say, you know, so we can't trust you anymore. So sorry, because just look at these people and you only made them how they are. So therefore, I have to do arakshanam. Arakshan means what? Reservation. It's called arakshan. Arakshan means protection, actually. It doesn't mean reservation. I have to protect myself. And so, therefore, even the trains, it's like that. The unreserved compartments, all things are thrown through the window. And by the time you get in, it is already gone. There's no place to sit. And once I was also traveling in an unreserved compartment from Chennai to Coimbatore, and then underneath were goats and chickens and everything, and little bit of place was there. I was sitting this much, whole night we had to go. And then one gentleman came and just tapped me on the shoulder. I said, what? Just come here. And so I went. I thought maybe he wanted to ask something. See, everybody knows the ending. And then he gave his wife my seat. So the rest of the time I had to hold on and stand. So this is how it is. So this reservation mentality that I have to, by some hook or crook, make my place secure is a deterrent to vairagya. Is a deterrent to vairagya. Because what happens is, even when I go to heaven, etc., some other loka, there also that same thing is there. Yeah. Indra is wondering what is happening. Everybody is throwing handkerchief in heaven. Try to reserve the place. So, this kind of a reservation mentality is antithetical to gaining vairagya. Vairagya means dropping and letting go. Oh, you don't understand. I have to go to this place. I have to catch this train. You keep asking yourself why. So, first you ask yourself why. Oh, some terrible things will happen if I don't do this, I'll do that. And then you ask the next question, so what? This becomes a very nice mananam and nididhyasana. First you ask why. Why am I doing this? And then you ask yourself what? So what? Something terrible will happen. So what? So what? So what? And then you understand that all this is a construct. It's not just an individual construct, it's a collective construct where everybody is looking in this arakshanam mentality, this reservation mentality. For what? I have to get my just desserts. I have to get everything that I am entitled to. Listen to yourself. If you are entitled to it, you will get it. Right? Entitled to means if I am deserving of this, I will get it. If I am not, I won't. This kind of a understanding has to come iha, here, and amutra cha. Amutra means elsewhere in heaven, etc. Because all this is just a huge distraction from being here now and gaining this knowledge. Because one is heaven bound, heaven focused, reserving some place here, there, etc. So that will not work. Ihamutra phalabhoga viragaha tadanantaram. Tadanantaram means adav, first, and then tadanantaram. Next one is the vairagya, which is described as ichharahityam, as we saw in the What is the other text? Tattva Bodha. Ichha Rahityam Iha Loke and Amutra Loke Phalabhogaya Ichha Rahityam. So there is no desire to gain the results of my action. There is not some kind of a feeling of entitlement, and that is viraga. Shamadhi shatka sampattihi is the next one. Tadanantaram, after that, what is there? Shamadhi shatka sampattihi, and he's going to describe that. Shamadhi, Shama, etc. Shatka, sixfold, sampattihi, treasure. This is the true treasure. This is the true wealth. And then mumukshutvam iti sphutam. Iti sphutam means this has been clearly told. By who? Manishibhihi. By the Manishins, which were talked about in the last verse, it has been told. Now each one is going to be described in detail. Each one is going to be talked about in little more detail, one verse or one line for each one. What is the next verse? Brahma satyam jagan mithya. Satyam jagan mithyeti. Yeah, mithyeti we have to say. Brahma satyam jagan mithyeti. Brahma satyam jagan mithyeti. Evam rupo vinishchayah. Evam rupo vinishchayah. Soyam nitya nitya vastu. Viveka samudakritah. If I am to understand how do I practice Viveka, how do I cultivate Viveka, this is what is said in one sentence. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. This is actually the one part of a famous verse written by somebody in a text called Vedanta Dindimaha. Dindima means the drum beat. In the old times, they used to have a town crier who used to go with drums and megaphone and all this, and then talk about some important notice. So Vedanta here is made into an important notice. And so the drum beat of Vedanta, there is one big Prakarana Grantha text. And there, this verse is there. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. This is the same thing. And then the author says, Ardhashlokena Pravakshyami. So this shloka, it has got 4 parts, 4 padas, where we stop. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithyeti, one part. Evam Rupo Vinishchayah, second part. Soyam Nitya Nitya Vastu, Viveka Samudakritah, fourth part, fourth quarter. 4 quarters are there, each one has 8 syllables. So 32 syllable verse. So he says, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva na aparaha. First line. So Brahma is Satyam, the Jagat is Mithya, and what is the Jiva? Brahman alone, na aparaha, not anybody else, not anything else. And then he pats himself on the back, the author, some Shankaracharya. Ardha shlokena pravakshyami. See, in half a shloka I have said, I will say what? Yaduktam grantha kotibhihi. That which is said in crores and crores of words and manuscripts and so many works on Vedanta, I am going to tell you in half a shloka. And that half a shloka is what? Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivaha Brahma. Jivo Brahma na aparaha, not anything, anybody else. So, what does this have to do with Viveka? Everything. So, Viveka means discernment between Mithya and Satyam. And this is, in fact, if this is understood, then that is moksha. If you understand the difference between Mithya and Satyam, it is moksha. Pujya Swamiji was talking, had numerous dialogues with a professor somewhere in California, I think in Berkeley. And that professor was a professor of philosophy and was very interested in Vedanta, and then was talking to Swamiji. They used to have many discussions, and he wanted to learn a lot from Swamiji. And then at the end of the dialogues, he came to Swamiji and said, "Thank you. Vedanta is very interesting. It's in fact fantastic. But I have a small question." "Oh, it's okay even if I don't ask it. You're a busy man, Swamiji." "No, no, no." Swamiji said, "Please ask. What is the question?" It's a very insignificant, small question. I understand everything perfectly, but this one thing is not very clear. What is that? What is Satyam? What is Mithya? So Swamiji said, while telling the story, Swamiji would say that this, it was like a standing, standing in cold water. It was just like having cold water poured over all his enthusiasm. And they had dialogues for like 2 weeks. They were in dialogue. And at the end, it was like, what is Satyam, what is Mithya? Like the eager student sitting in front of Panditji, listening to Ramayana. And then everybody else was half asleep. That is what is the point of going to Ramayana and Harikatha. Because at home they'll be, for grandparents, they'll ask you to take care of children, cook and clean, etc. Who wants that? Let's go sit in the temple and just nod off. This is the idea. And then, so what happens now here? This one student is nodding his head, understanding everything. And at the end of 9-day Ramayana, he too says, "Padiji, one question." "What?" "You kept saying Rama, Rama, Rama. I understood there is a character called Rama. And then you kept saying Ravana, 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 Ravana. That also I understood. There is a character called Ravana. Only one thing I didn't understand. Who is the Asura? Who is the Rakshasa? Who is the demon? Rama or Ravana?" Panditji said, "I am the Asura." For taking you seriously. So, and thinking you're going to be my successor, because Panditji started to have dreams and thinking, "Oh, this is a Harikatha, Ramayana, telling, etc., is a dying art. OMG, I can give it to this young fellow and he will take it forward." And Panditji said, "I am the Asura," very sadly. So, Satyam and Mithya is the main thing. And that here is what is the eye opener in this verse is that Satyam and Mithya, the difference, to understand the difference between Satyam and Mithya is not possible without Viveka. If I have Viveka, I won't be like the professor. Simple. Who understood all of Vedanta but not Satyam and Mithya. In fact, if you take away Satyam and Mithya, there is no Vedanta. So, like this, there is a very strong connection between Viveka and Satyam and Mithya. Let us look a little more at what this connection might be. Viveka is described as Nitya, the discernment, the ability to discern between what? Nitya and Anitya. That is the traditional definition. What is Nitya? What is eternal? And what is time bound? What is timeless? What is time bound? This discernment is not possible. Why? We have a lot of problems because the two, the timeless and the time bound, are helplessly mixed up, at least in the head. In the head of the student, the timeless and the time bound are very, very much mixed up. How is it mixed up? Because what I want is the timeless, but what I go after is the time bound. So the whole life, the exercise in the whole life is, you know what? To convert the time bound into timeless, to make the finite into infinite. How is that possible? How are you going to make the finite into infinite? But we keep trying. We keep trying. And then there are all kinds of drinks to keep the body in shape. What are they called? Antioxidants. And all these berries. These berries have become very, very popular. And so many berries. Acai berry. And then goji berry. And then what else? So many other blueberry, this berry, that berry. And those berries, if you keep eating, you will not be buried. That is the idea. There is some kind of a way to keep the body going, going, going. Nothing wrong, but look at the tendency here. The tendency is to make this body, which is time bound, try to make it timeless. And so we over harvest all these, what are they called? Superfoods. And then we are studying those so-called blue zones. You know the blue zone? Yeah. Blue zone is somewhere in the Mediterranean. You know, the southern Mediterranean, Greece and parts of Rome and everything, so south of France. All those people are living up to 100. Here also maybe people are living up to 100, but then in other places also maybe they are living up to 100. But in what shape are they? They are in bad shape. They are bedridden. They cannot see, they cannot hear. But there, in one of the blue zone areas, what is that called? It's a Greek island called Ikaria. And this Ikaria is named after the fellow who had the wax wings and flew too close to the sun and fell to his death. He is credited with the first aviation attempt. Icarius or something his name is. So this island Icaria, 105-year-olds are tilling their own land. They are not sitting in a nursing home. They are not rocking back and forth or bedridden. No. They are tilling their land. They are harvesting fruits. They are doing all kinds of things. They are very active. And then they go and play cards in the evening or play some game, and then they take walks, and the area is very hilly, so they are walking up and down the mountains. And so all the researchers, before nobody even had heard of Ikaria, and now all the researchers have made a beeline there, and they are wondering what is it that makes them so immune to death, and so active they are and everything. So that becomes a very big madness to keep the body going. We also say keep the body going. Fine, you have to tune up the engine, you have to oil change once in a while, you have to take care of it, and you have to do that. But there is a difference in being obsessed with the body, and which many people are, especially celebrities and everybody like that. So everything is just hanging on how the body looks. Dehe pushte aham pushtah. If the body is healthy, I am healthy. Dehe aham nashtah. If the body goes, I also go. So like this, we try to make the finite into infinite. Mind also, that's why we eat all these berries, so that the mind does not go away. Green tea, something else, so many things are there. All these things. And then they say, do word games. Then the memory will not go. You keep doing word games. I tell you, these word games are useless. Study Sanskrit. Yes. Study Sanskrit earnestly, the mind will be functioning fine. Really. All those rules and all will keep it very fresh, keep the mind fresh. So, like this, with regard to our own body and mind, we see that it's a race against time. So, people do yoga, people do some, what is that, go to the gym, all this. Lord Yama is not perturbed. He just says, okay, the person has started a yoga regimen, I'll just go to Starbucks and have a little coffee break. Afterwards, I'll come back. That is all it is. So, the reality of this body is that it is started to degenerate the day it was born. The day it was born, it started to degenerate. And yes, I can do some things to keep it going. I can do some things to keep it fit. I don't want it to be a burden on other people. All that is a responsible way to lead the life. But it should be in certain kind of a proportionate measure. Same thing with our possessions. We try to keep on make something last and last and last and last and last, until at last it breaks, it goes. So this viveka is a different animal here. This viveka is not about neglecting the body or neglecting the mind, but having a certain discernment that whatever is going to go is going to go. Let me focus on that which is not going to go, which is what? Myself. And that self, which is not the body, which is not the mind, which is not the senses, or a combination thereof, that self is that which is indwelling this body mind sense complex, as it were, and let me understand the truth of myself. So for that, I have to let go of everything that has a dependent reality so that I can understand myself as free of depending upon this Jagat. So you see how Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka has gone into Satyam Mithya Viveka. You see how Nitya is equal to Satya, and then Anitya is equal to Mithya. Very beautifully said here. A nice segue, a nice transition has been made. And then, so this is what is called Viveka. Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya. Mithya doesn't mean false. Mithya means dependent reality. That which is dependent on Sat. Why should I look at something that's dependent on Sat when I can look at Sat itself as myself? That is the idea. I want Sat. So this is Viveka. So the Viveka comes after examining all experiences in the world and seeing their time-boundedness. So you go anything, you go on a holiday, what happens? You have to come back. One cannot be permanently on the holiday. You go to sleep, you have to wake up. Let's say you like the waking state, then now the waking state goes to sleep state. And then let's say you like to go somewhere, and then where you go camping, or what is the new trend that is happening in Kumbh Mela right now? Glamping, glamorous camping, glamping. Yeah, where you have attached bathroom in your tent. And so those kinds of things you want to do, you want to go, you go, and then what happens? You see that everything is finite and is not going to give me what I want. This is Viveka. Everything is finite. Every experience you have to come back from. And everything ultimately is disappointing. Like the child I encountered in our ashram in Pennsylvania. One child was there. There was some kind of a birthday celebration. So everybody got ice cream. The 5-year-old girl also got ice cream. She was eating the ice cream and crying bitterly. I said, what happened? Where are your parents? You're by yourself. They are over there. Then why are you crying? They are right there. You're having ice cream. It's a nice day. What happened? It's already half gone. It's already half gone. She was crying. And so, like this, that is like the baby Viveka. She's already having baby Viveka. The time-boundedness of ice cream is being understood. So this is called Viveka, where I see that all the world's experiences are examined. Parikshya lokan karmachitan lokan parikshya. This is what we'll study in the Mundaka Upanishad. Having examined all the lokas, all the worlds in which I interact, the work world, the home world, the friend world, the holiday world, all these things. So all these fields of experiences, lokas, in which I interact, so I see their limitations. I see their limitations. How do I see their limitations? Because I see that everything comes to an end. Everything comes to an end. Everything is finite. I see that. Number one. Number two, that everything is finite should not be a problem. But it is a problem for me. Why? Because I'm in search for the infinite, and the lokas being finite, and the fruit. And why are the lokas finite? Because these lokas in these fields of experiences are generated by what? By my own action and the results of action. So if I'm enjoying punya, what is that because of? Results of action. And then how long will it last? Till the next papa comes along and tries to fructify itself. So therefore, the everything is finite. I understand that. And instead of getting disappointed at the fact everything is finite, what do? I try to change the situation by looking at the one who is saying everything is finite and seeing that there is a mismatch between sadhana and sadhya. That is the viveka. So, what is the sadhana I'm using? I'm using the means of just going and accumulating, going and experiencing, going and getting. I have become a go getter. I go and I get. I catch and eat and kill. This is what I'm doing. Catch, kill, eat mentality from the cat life in the last life, perhaps. And so, this is not satisfying me. This is the viveka. This is the wisdom. This I am not satisfied with this shallow way of living, because what is that? Punya, and then it's exhausted. Karma, karma phala. Karma, karma phala. Action, results of action, experiencing the results of action, back to action, results of action. This is not satisfying me. Why? Because this is time bound. And so, therefore, I have to give this up in order to look at what is truly timeless. How to do that, we'll see tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.